Morning guys, it's Nick at Optima PS. I hope you're all well. Thanks once again for coming back to my channel. I really do appreciate it. As ever, if you like what I say today, please do give me a like and subscribe. That does really work wonders with the algorithms at YouTube. And of course, jump on and give me a follow on Twitter as well if you like what I have to say. So today's video, basically what I'm saying is that investing in crypto today is a far better investment than investing in the early days of the internet. I'm going to get into that, quantify it with some numbers and show you exactly why I think so, why I believe so. And of course, if you have any comments, please ask me any questions. Please drop me any comments in the comment section. That's always really appreciated as well. Before we get into the video, as ever, my name's Nick. You all know me by now. I am a financial advisor, but I'm absolutely not your financial advisor. I don't know you, you don't know me. I couldn't possibly give you any financial advice over a YouTube video other than very, very bad financial advice. So please take whatever I say today just purely as what it is. It's me, a guy expressing my opinion over the internet in the hope that I can bring you some value and you take away a few little pieces of information that are going to help you with your investment world moving forwards in the crypto space. So why do I think so? Why do I think investing into crypto right now is a better investment than investing into the early days of the internet? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, you never really could invest directly into the internet, right? You could invest into companies which operated online. You could have bought shares in Google or shares in Amazon or Facebook when they launched, things like this, but you couldn't actually buy the internet as such. With crypto, what you've given or what you're being given the opportunity to do is buy directly into what will be the new world financial system. Yes, it all works online, so it's a little bit related to the internet, but in the same respect, if you think back in the days of buying into the internet, if you bought shares in Google, you bought shares in a company that operated online in the hope that people would use their search engine. And in the early days, it moved on to bigger and better things than that, of course, but you were buying shares in companies still with, I'm going to use XRP as the example because I'm a XRP focused channel, or at least a utility coin focused channel. It's more like buying shares in the electricity company upon which the internet was run, or the telecommunications company on which the internet was run. You're literally providing the rails for the whole system. Yeah. What's more, the internet today is still used by an awful lot of people, but it's not used by everybody. It's not used by as many people as who transact money on a daily basis. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Before we get into it, let's just take a quick look at the markets, see where we are in the world today. You probably all know, but the markets have been, let's say, stagnant, if not a little bit wobbly for the last couple of weeks. Fear and greed index here, we're at 41, which is classed as neutral, but it's only just into the neutral, moving in from greed. So the world is still not 100% optimistic on the markets right now. What are the reasons for that? Well, if you take a look, most things are hovering lower than they were a few weeks back. Bitcoin's at 97,579 as we speak. It is up ever so slightly over 7 days, but only ever so slightly. Ethereum, again, same thing, 2% over 7 days. XRP is sitting with a very, very healthy 14.34% over the last 7 days. You could argue it had fallen by more in the first place, but in the same respect, we're looking at an XRP which has outperformed most of its peers in the last couple of weeks. If you take a look down, we've got the prices here. It's a combination. Over the week, most things are green, but over the last 24 hours, there's a little bit more red. The whole market is just hovering around, slightly up over a few weeks, but realistically speaking, down over the last month or so. And so, getting back to the focus of the video, why is it I'm saying that to buy into the internet was a worse investment than to buy into cryptocurrencies, at least the utility coins? There's a bit of action out there in the markets. We've seen Argentina with what could only be described as a rug pull with the Libra and things like this. There's always going to be reasons to fear the cryptocurrency world. There's always going to be reasons why the everyday folk are put off. And so you could say, well, no one will buy into crypto then. Only 7% of the planet apparently has ever made a crypto investment. And the vast, vast majority of those people have probably put in $50, $100, $200, $10, $5, tiny, tiny amounts of money. The number of people that invest significantly in crypto is still below 1% of the planet. So you could look at that and say, wow, well, it's going to take a lifetime for that to change, for people to catch up. But I'll give you an example. How many of you out there own a gudgeon pin? How many of you out there own an aglet? How many of you out there have ever utilized an ACH, an automated clearinghouse? I bet most of you are sat there thinking, well, not me. I bet most of you think, not me, but the answer is probably all of you, or the vast, vast majority of you. A gudgeon pin is part of the piston in the engine of your car, so if you own a car, you own a gudgeon pin. An aglet is that tiny, tiny little piece of plastic at the end of your shoelaces. I would imagine every single person listening to this video owns a pair of shoes with laces on the end. Not everyone, perhaps, where I live out in the Philippines, here, an awful lot of people wear flip-flops, but I bet everyone has one pair of trainers, one pair of shoes with an aglet on the end, and you never knew you owned an aglet. An ACH is probably the most obvious one. Most people say, well, I've never used an automated clearinghouse. The vast majority of you have. Anyone who's ever transacted money in any way or form, it's probably passed through an automated clearinghouse without you knowing it, in one way or form or another. You buy money, you buy something from Amazon. Okay, it goes from your credit card and you buy it immediately. But that money probably passes through an ACH somewhere in the process. Whether it's between your bank to your card to Amazon, or even Amazon to Amazon's bank, or wherever it goes, that money will have passed through. In order to facilitate your purchase of that product, you'd have used one. And most people never have any clue about that. In the exact same way, most people on planet Earth won't know, or at least they won't even care, that they're using crypto when they transfer money in any way or form. And that's if you beep your phone at the newsagent to pick up a newspaper, if anyone still buys physical newspapers anymore, or a magazine, or if you beep your card to pay for a ticket for the train, if you send money from one bank to another to send it to your niece or your nephew or your uncle or your brother or your mom or your grandma, or just a guy from work to send money online via your bank, you'll all utilize one, and you'll all utilize crypto in the end of the day. And that's why we're looking at this as something that will be bigger than investing into the internet, because not everybody out there uses the internet. If we take, I've relied quite heavily on Grok today. I think Grok is the best search engine out there, the best AI search engine out there. How many people globally have access to the internet? As of 2025, approximately 5.52 billion people globally have access to the internet, which is about 67.5% of the world's population. Now, we don't all use the internet as part of an essential part of our daily lives every single day. We probably use it as an essential part of our daily lives once or twice a week. And when I say an essential part, you might do your grocery shopping online, you might do your banking online. Most of us will use communications that go via the internet now, like WhatsApp or Viber or Telegram, things like this. But how many of us use it as an essential part of everyday life? Probably not everyone every day who's listening to this video. I certainly don't. I'll go online every day. I don't remember the last day when I didn't have access to the internet, but that might just be to jump on Twitter, it might be to go on Facebook, it might be to read the news, whatever that reason might be. It's not an essential part of my daily life. It's a comfort. It's something I like to do. But moving through to the essential part of daily life, and I think we'd all agree an essential part is the transaction of money. Yeah, I'm looking first at the investment side of things here. So I said to you before that crypto is about 7% of people on the planet have used crypto in one way or form once. Compare that to investments. People think 7% is a tiny, tiny number. But compare that to real investments. So I've asked here the percentage of the global population that invests into anything not counting bank accounts or pensions. Because most people will have a bank account and most people will keep money in there. And most people out there, a fewer number than the ones with bank accounts, but most people out there will have some kind of planning for retirement by way of a state pension system, by way of a personal pension system. But most people that utilize those things are in the majority. But outside of that, how many people invest into everything else? Stock market participation, including stocks, mutual funds, and ETFs. Yeah. Estimates suggest around 15 to 20% of the global population. 15 to 20 isn't an awful lot bigger than 7. And yet we talk about the global investment infrastructure, the global investment world being this huge, huge thing. It's only 1/5 of the world actually invests money except for within their bank account or a pension. Yeah. Moving through, there's a few more stats here. I'll scroll through it slowly so you can take a look, but I won't go into all of this. Participation in higher developed economies, e.g. 55% of adults in the UK invest in stocks. The UK is slightly different than most of the world, even the Western world. So the US is slightly different, even the Western world, in that in most of the European nations, there is some kind of state system that ensures retirement is taken care of in its bare essential way. So in the UK, for example, without doing anything at all but being paid my wages and paying my taxes, I'm given a state pension, which would give me about £900 a month when I retire. Not a lot of money to me, not a lot of money to most people. Most pensioners struggle to live on that £900 a month. But if you've got to the point at the end of your life, you've got your house paid for and you get £900, hopefully if you're in a couple, you get £900 each, your bare essentials are taken care of by the state. So an awful lot of people in those countries don't invest as significantly towards their own retirement needs as they might in the US, where the state welfare system isn't quite as robust. So the US is an exception to the rule, if you like. More people in the US, and obviously it's a big economy, but more people in the US will invest privately in things like ETFs, mutual funds. But even most of those people will do it via their direct bank or via a guy like me. I'm an investment manager, so I look after people's investments. People come to me and say, Nick, I earn X per month. I can afford to put 10%, 20% of that towards my retirement needs or towards my kids' college fund or whatever it might be. And we go ahead and do that. But we're talking about small portions of the planet, really, less than 20% if you go around the world. Most people that even do that investment, they do it on a small way. My clients, I work offshore on purpose. I come to places where people are paid higher wages so that they can, as a foreigner, where they're people at the top of their game with higher skill set, they're paid to move abroad and they don't get the state system paid for whilst they're away, so they want to come to a guy like me and invest some extra money. But we're talking about a small percentage of the overall population that, with disregarding bank accounts and pensions, actually use the stock markets at all. Moving through, what percentage of the global population has a bank account? 76% of adults globally have a bank account or mobile money account. 76%. So that 76% is already higher than that 67.5% of the global population who utilize the internet. And as I've said already, most of those people don't utilize the internet every day in a way that directly transacts money, a way that directly generates money. Okay, you can argue if I go on Facebook, there's advertising revenue. If I use Google, there's fees, there's things associated with Google that makes money, but not in the same direct way as transferring money in your bank account, holding money in your bank account, that kind of thing. So moving from there, we've got 76% of adults globally have a bank account or mobile money account, leaving 24% that remain unbanked. That's a significant number. That's nearly a quarter of the population of planet Earth does not have a bank account. But does that mean those people don't transact money digitally? No, absolutely not. Almost all of those people, I'm saying almost, there's going to be exceptions. There's going to be some tribes in the Amazon who, they swap beans for sheep and things like this. Or maybe not sheep in the Amazon. Actually, what do I know? But you know what I mean? There's going to be a few people out there in the world, a very tiny proportion of the population. I live in the Philippines. There's some fishing communities, remote fishing communities, that probably don't touch money on a daily basis. They go out, they catch fish, they come back, they cook it. But maybe even those people transact their fish that they've caught for some physical money. That physical money perhaps didn't transfer through the system from the buyer of the fish to them, but the person that paid them that physical money would have utilized an ATM, would have gone to the bank, would have transacted in some way to get that cash. And so you're still in a position where that fisherman in a remote village has still, through his daily operations, necessitated the use of financial infrastructure, which most likely necessitated the use of digital transactions. And what I'm telling you is that in the future, every digital transaction will account for every financial transaction. That's just the way the world is going. Of those 24% that remain unbanked, I've asked the question here, what percentage of the global unbanked population utilises money remittance services or apps such as Western Union, as an example being the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones? It goes through, it tells you it's quite difficult to give an exact number. The unbanked population globally is estimated around 1.4 billion adults. It goes down, it talks about remittance services, it talks, sub-Sahara, places like this. Have a read through this, I'll scroll through it slowly. But the simple point is that, given the lack of precise data, it's estimated that a notable portion of the unbanked population, likely from 20 to 50% in certain regions, may use remittance services, including Western Union or something like that, based on regional studies and the prevalence of informal and formal remittance channels. However, it does vary widely depending on local financial infrastructure. But as I say, I live in the Philippines. I know people here, grown adults, who don't have a bank account. My own wife, my wife is Filipino from let's say a very westernized Filipino family. She went to school, she went to college, she moved abroad for work in her early years. That's where we met. She never had a bank account. She'd be paid cash. She'd use that cash, send it on Western Union back to her family. She didn't need a bank account. She was paid weekly. She kept that money. She spent it over the week. She got paid again on payday. She has a bank account now, but she didn't have for a long time. And there's lots and lots of people here who operate like that. Western Union is an essential part of life in the Philippines. Not just Western Union, there's other ones, there's MoneyGram, there's other things here as well. But people do not necessarily have a bank account, but that doesn't mean those people do not transact money in one way or form. If you need to send money, maybe not every single day, but if you need to send money to family members on payday, you jump into a remittance service like Western Union, you send it to them, that money is transacted online, and it lands in the other Western Union outlet, and somebody's able to take the cash from them. You're still utilizing the global financial infrastructure, which will be a digital financial infrastructure. It is already to a certain degree, but more so when crypto becomes more prevalent. Moving through, how much money is transferred by individual people using banks or remittance services on a daily basis. Again, it's going to go through and tell you that it's very, very difficult to give an exact number. But the global remittance market, which includes money sent by individuals, brackets often migrant workers, which is kind of what I was saying just then, to the families or others, was estimated at around 700 billion annually in recent years. Remember, this is that 20% of the population who doesn't have a bank. So this is the minority already, and they're taking up 700 billion annually. So it goes through and it says, for context, the global foreign exchange market, which includes all types of currency transactions, handles approximately 6.6 trillion daily. This figure might include institutional and corporate transactions as well, not just individual transfers, but that's how much money is transacted just through the FX market on a daily basis. The next question I went through is I asked how much money is transferred from one place to another by individuals, institutions, corporations, governments, etc. In other words, how much of all the money is transferred from one place to another on a daily basis. Again, I'll scroll through slowly. It gives you a big breakdown, but I don't want to take too much time on this video. Have a read through. Go back and have a read through in your own time. But this is the important point. Estimated range, about 10 to 15 trillion. With the FX market and SWIFT being major contributors. However, this is an approximation, but what they're basing is there's roughly 10 to 15 trillion approximately. I think it's way more than that. I remember somebody from one of the big banks, I think it was Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan, saying that on a daily basis, their balance book, if you like, they press send at the daily basis, and about 10 trillion leaves that bank going to elsewhere on a daily basis, probably within the bank, probably from their bank to another bank, but they send and receive about $10 trillion a day just as their daily balance sheet. And that's one bank. It's probably the biggest bank, but it's one bank. If you then add all the other top 10 banks, you can probably make that more like 50 trillion a day. That's not quite the question I was asking, but all that money is going to be utilized on the rails of this new financial system, which is going to be ledger-based. It's going to be utilizing ledger structures such as the XRP ledger. I'm not going to say XRP is going to get every last penny. I think they'll get, if not the lion's share of the market, they'll be one of the bigger players in the market. But what I'm talking about is just purely utility-based financial transactions that will utilize utility coins, that will utilize cryptocurrency blockchain technology in order to transfer this money. The final point here, how many bank transfers or remittances occur on a daily basis, and how would that be broken down as a percentage of the global population? Again, I'll scroll through for you so you can take a look back on this and watch it through in slow motion, stop the video in your own time. But what the final point is in the summary. So daily remittances are approximately 9.4 million transactions, which is less than 1% of the global population on a daily basis. However, daily bank transfers, which are likely in the billions, involving 50% of the global population, though exact data is unavailable. So that doesn't mean that 50% of planet Earth logs online and sends money from their bank on a daily basis. But think how often you would make a financial transaction in a day. If you pop into the grocery store and you buy a Mars bar, you might hand over cash. But did you get that cash from an ATM? Was that did the ATM then deduct that cash from your bank account and make a digital note of the fact that your bank account now is $1 less, $2 less? I don't know what you just bought. The point is, most of us make a financial transaction in one way or form on a daily basis. My own bank, something happens every day. Money lands, money goes. Standing order goes out to pay a mortgage or life insurance or whatever it might be, and money lands back in. Something happens in my bank every single day. And that's before I go and buy a train ticket, or before I jump in a taxi, or before I do anything that I do that involves physical transaction of cash. Most of the world will make a financial transaction on a daily basis. And what I'm talking about is all the money. That's before we get into things like real world asset tokenization. It's before we get into anything else. This is purely about how much money will be utilized via these rail systems, via blockchain technology, via ledgers, via cryptocurrency on a daily basis. Staggering amounts of money. And then when you think I'm comparing this with the internet, with things like Amazon, with things like Facebook, with things like, anything you want to talk about, watching Netflix, anything you want to talk about on the internet. When we utilize the internet, there's normally some kind of cash transaction. Someone on the internet has put an advert there which you see, and that advert is paid for by someone else, and the transaction to cover that goes through digital blockchain technology, or will go through blockchain technology. The entire system of planet Earth will rotate around a payment mechanism. The payment mechanism is very, very quickly moving to blockchain technology, and will very, very quickly pick the winners and the losers of all these coins out there. I've always said this, I don't buy meme coins, things like that. I'm a big believer in only buying utility or AI-based coins. Now I buy a few AI ones as well, but I think they're all interlinked. Everything that anyone on planet Earth does financially will involve utilizing crypto eventually. They won't know it, just like we don't know what an aglet is, the little piece of plastic on your shoe, just like they don't know they use an automated clearinghouse. Most banks will probably put something in the small print that tells people, we used to use Swift, now we're using this. It used to be Swift, now it's Ripple. Whatever it might be, they will put a tiny, tiny disclaimer somewhere that no one will ever read. Most people will never be aware that they use this, but every single financial transaction on planet Earth, be it from me buying a Mars bar in the local grocery store, to JP Morgan sending $5 trillion to Goldman Sachs, everything will go through the blockchain. Derivatives, we're not even talking about derivatives yet. Every derivative will go through the blockchain. Quadrillions of dollars are utilized on an annual basis, will pass through the blockchain. There's not quadrillions of dollars that passes through Amazon, passes through Netflix, passes through Facebook. This is a bigger opportunity than the early investors into the internet companies had. And it's easier. You don't need a stockbroker. You don't need to wait for an IPO. You don't need to find a way to buy a stock. Oh, wow, I want to... A great example of this is I tried to buy Amazon. I couldn't buy Amazon. I didn't get in quick enough. There were things out there. Nvidia's another one that I missed. I missed Nvidia. That was more because I didn't spot it as big a player as it was in time, to be perfectly honest. But, I did buy Tesla. There's things out there that I, as a professional investor, still didn't manage to get my hands on. We're talking about the ability to buy the rails that provide the central ecostructure for the financial infrastructure globally. I don't see how people don't get it. I just do not understand how people don't look at this and think this is the greatest opportunity in human existence to a certain degree. This is the new industrial revolution. Call it the financial revolution, call it the fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it. This is the opportunity of our lifetimes to be buying into these markets. Should you go out and spend every last penny? Absolutely not. My crypto portfolio is now much more than 10% of my overall portfolio. It's still 10% of my overall investment, but it's grown significantly higher in value compared to my other traditional investments. I'm happy with my book, by the way. I'm not sat here kicking myself about it. It's plenty. But in the same respect, I don't sit there and tell anyone rush out and spend every last penny. If you listen to some of the other channels who are very, very good, by the way, and very informed, but they're not financial experts as such, they might tell you to throw every last penny in. I don't throw every last penny into anything. It's nonsensical. It would be a bad idea to throw every last penny into anything. But in the same respect, if you go out and throw a significant portion of your disposable liquid cash into crypto right now, I cannot see how you'll regret it if you buy the sensible utility coins. And by that, I'm talking XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algorand, Ondo I like at the moment, Sui I have some. I do have a couple of things that would be considered memes. I've still got a bit of Shiba Inu. I bought a bit when it dipped recently, but not much. I mean, that's just plain money, to be perfectly honest. But you know, the big utility coins that are going to play an essential part of the new financial world, they will all take a piece of the greatest cash cow of our lifetimes. How exactly that will work, I'm still not 100% certain. I expect there will be a system where I'm able to sell my direct XRP and buy into an ETF that pays me an income based around the utility of the XRP. So perhaps there will be an ETF that puts XRP and cash into AMMs, makes the profits and pays an annual dividend from the ETF, just like you can get an income-based ETF on, you know, it could be on anything. It could be on the NASDAQ, right? I want to invest into the top companies in the NASDAQ via this ETF, and when they pay their dividends, I get a piece of those dividends, so I get the capital gain, or fall if it falls, but I also get the dividends as an income, and that pays me annually to spend as I like. It could be something like that. It could be utilizing AMMs yourself. It could just be waiting till the price goes through the roof and selling it, taking your money and parking it back in your bank account and earning 5% a year yield. It's up to you what you do with it, but don't miss this opportunity, guys. I have never seen a bigger opportunity than this in all my years in investment, and in all the years before that I studied as part of my qualifications in investment. I've never seen a bigger opportunity than this, including the dot-com. You know, I don't mean the dot-com bubble, I mean the dot-com opportunity day one to get into and buy these amazing companies. If you look at all the top companies in the world now, some of the oil and gas companies, some of the old banking structure companies, things like this, but an awful lot of them now are internet based. Even the AI companies are still based around usage of the internet, right? So it was a fantastic opportunity and still remains it. I think crypto is bigger. Guys, if you like what I said, please tick that like button, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. That's all I've got to say today. Hopefully that made sense to you. I've really enjoyed talking to you. If you like what I have to say, please do drop me a comment and tell me, or drop me a comment and tell me you don't. You know, I always want to hear back from you. So guys, thanks very much. I'll leave you to it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay classy, crypto.